he is repulsive. I mean, I know there are certain resonances with what we're actually here to discuss this evening. I know, but my God, oh wow! Sorry, I'm just
It's like we
imagining,
always have to have this political thing to
yeah,
start with to sort of ease ourselves
to
in.
ease our way in. Yeah, it works though, doesn't it? It does work. But my God, I'm actually picturing what happens to Mason Verger at the end of Tome-Wan. Is it the first episode that we're here to discuss?
Tome-Wan, yeah,
Tome-Wan,
yeah,
and that's way too good for Trump. I wouldn't want that to happen to Trump. It's too poetic.
yes.
You know what I mean? It's too much somehow. It's not.
Well,
It,
Trump wouldn't be capable of that because Trump
no.
hates dogs. He hates animals.
Yeah,
He wouldn't be
right.
able to sit there. From Mason's point of view, what he's
Yeah,
doing is at that moment he's sitting there feeding the dogs.
yeah.
Trump wouldn't do that. Trump would be there
No.
like, no, I don't like dogs.
I mean, bizarrely, it's uncovered something like maybe one of the only moments where there is something even marginally laudable about Mason Verger. He treats those dogs okay. Oh, is he? I just love your dog. This is before Will has seen him, obviously, so he doesn't really know
Yeah.
what's happening. Oh, by the way, guys, do you remember when we said in previous episodes that there are episodes coming up where we're going to slap big content warnings on them? These are the two episodes.
Yes.
These are the two
Very,
episodes.
very much so. These.
Tome-Wan in particular, I would say. I mean, don't get me wrong. The other one also has a lot of blood and a lot of violence, but it's a different type of violence, isn't it? It's a very different type of violence. This is something else. This is wow. Self-mutilation, bodily
It's very
mutilation,
extreme. Yes.
auto-cannibalism at one point.
Yes.
It's
It's funny.
it somehow
We talked about
works,
this.
isn't it?
We
Because
talked
of
about this a little bit last time,
we
and
did.
I, I, this is my first rewatch
Is
in a
it?
while, and I remembered it as being much more graphic than it
Mhm.
actually is. It's a bit like the Texas Chainsaw
Yeah,
Massacre. It's the thing that people always say, and it's true. You always feel like you've seen something a lot more graphic and bloody than you
definitely.
actually have because of the way it's done.
Yeah,
Um, and
they
it's
use
like that.
a
It's like that a bit with this.
yes. They
Watching
use a
it
lot of
again,
tricks.
yes,
They do
you
use a
actually
lot of
see
tricks.
a lot less than I thought you do.
Hmm.
But
But
it
it
makes it
leaves
more,
you
as I'm suggesting, it makes it more effective. Yeah.
with the impression, doesn't it, more than anything? There's a lot of
Oh yeah.
implication here, but what it implies is vile. It's absolutely repulsive. There's a lot in the sound design, which is just nauseating. It really is nauseating, and it's the fact that it's someone doing it to themselves and doing it in such a blithe manner as well.
Yes. Yes.
It's almost joyously, right? I mean, Mason's having a whale of a time. He seems to be having a really good time doing this to himself, through whatever
He's having
Hannibal
great
has
fun.
actually done to him. Ooh, wow. But these two episodes are also, by the way, they're most people's favorites in
Really?
the entire run. In the entire run, in any of the seasons. It's really interesting. Like each of the seasons of Hannibal is its own kind of odd experiment. They were filmed
Yes.
and in a really weird way. So they're each their own projects, their own self-contained projects. When they did season one, it was a complete experiment. They didn't know if they were going to get a season two. And there was a lot of wrangling behind the scenes as to whether they could even do season two or whether they were going to get the money for season two. So there was a gap. There was a massive gap between season one and season two, just as there was a massive gap between season two and season three. So in these closing episodes, they've tried to wrap it up in a way, but also leave it open enough that there could be a season three if they wanted it to be.
Mm.
These two episodes really are, again, two halves of a singular narrative. In fact, like the last four episodes, really, they're building up to the big encounter at the end, aren't they? When everything falls apart. These last four episodes, they've established everything, the metaphysics. They've gone really hard on this quantum entanglement notion, where
Mhm.
reality seems to be breaking apart, and it escalates in these two episodes. It escalates really profoundly. I can't remember
And
whether. Sorry, go on.
the thing about time and entropy is incredibly pronounced in this
Wow.
one, to the point where loads of the soundtrack of the second one, what's it
Mhm.
called? Mitsumono.
Mitsumono,
Loads of the
yeah.
musical soundtrack is sort of ticking. It's sort of
Yes,
clock ticking
it's the
sounds.
clocks,
Tick,
right?
tick, tick,
Which
tick,
has
tick,
it
tick,
has
tick, 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 tick.
resonance
Yeah.
with, like, I mean, the clock that Will had to draw when he had his
Clock makes its last
yeah,
appearance. Yeah.
yeah. But it's also very literal, right? It's time and space breaking down. Um, which you even have conversations about it. Like, they reference these notions. There's a great, I think it's at the beginning of Mitsumono, actually, where they're in Hannibal Lecter's office, which is another sacred space, right? It's another one of these weird spaces like the dining room where the gods or the authors meet and they discuss the metaphysics that's surrounding them. And he says to Will that you sit in that chair and it contains all of the echoes and vibrations of the conversations that we've had. And Will closes his eyes and he hears it. He actually hears it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Hannibal says to him, "What do you hear?" And you can hear these echoes in the background, and it is parts of the conversations that they've had. But it's also the conversations they haven't had. It's the stuff that
Mm.
was cut as well. So it's echoing these alternative timelines, which are in flux all over these episodes. It's brilliant. And Will says it's a harmony. Will hears it as a harmony, which is fascinating given that Will, in these two episodes, is more in flux than he's ever been.
Yes,
He's,
that's the whole point of the opening
yeah,
sequence of
of Mitsumono.
Mitsumono. It's
Yeah.
that thing we talked about last time, where Will is existing in two quantum states overlaid upon each other.
Yes.
There is Jack's will and there is Hannibal's will, and
Yeah.
neither is the real one. They are both
No.
the real one. They're both existing at the same time because he's the cat in the box.
That's right. He is the cat in the box. And in fact, there are loads of characters who are the cats in the box in these episodes. You get the return of Bella in Mitsumono.
Yes.
And I mean, okay, on a purely narrative level, because they didn't know if they were going to get a season 3, they're tying it up, right? They're giving you that last hurrah for Bella. But at
Mm.
the same time,
There,
Bella is
the,
symbolic.
the,
Bella's a really interesting character. As she says, she's caught between deaths. She is also in a state of quantum entanglement. She is
mhm.
dead. She has died. She's had her first death, and Hannibal has suspended her in this state where she can't move on to the next one.
Well, this keeps happening with characters. They keep disappearing and being apparently dead or
Yes.
narratively dead, and
Mhm.
then reappearing again because actually what they were uh, was both at once. They were
Both
dead
at the
and
same
alive
time. Yeah.
simultaneously. That Bella in this, Freddie earlier in
Freddie.
this season,
Yes.
Abigail, of course, returns at the
Abigail.
end of
Yeah.
Mitsumono.
Huge.
She's been absent in, and so does Garrett Jacob Hobbs. Actually, for the first time in a long time, he
Yes.
pops up in one of Will's dreams, stroke visions, stroke
Mm.
hallucinations. Um, and because at this point you can't really, if a character pops up in that plane of reality, he's no more dead or alive than the people
Than
that are
any of
walking
them.
around in the ostensible real world.
Absolutely, yeah. It's made kind of explicit in, like, the way these episodes you need to sit down and watch. This is not filmed or shot like a Netflix show. You will miss stuff. There's so much visual information. So much of the metaphysics is made explicit in the edits and the shots. It's really strange. Like, as you said, at the beginning of Mitsumono, you get those bisected moments where you've got Hannibal and Jack saying the same things to Will on either side of one another. And then you have the
Yeah.
two different versions of Will, which kind of establishes visually that those two versions of Will are different. They're existing in two different narratives, in two different timelines. And the problem with Will, of course, as we discussed earlier, and it's the problem that Hannibal has with him, it's why he finds him so frustrating, is that he wants to kind of have his cake and eat it. He wants to be both the living cat and the dead cat. He wants to be Hannibal's Will, and he wants to be Jack's Will at the same time. and he
Yes,
can't.
he wants to stay in
It's
the box,
Yeah, he wants to
and
stay in the
that's
box.
part.
So he wants to maintain like the Baltimore of before, the sort of Jack's Baltimore, you know? He wants to suspend that state. But he also doesn't want like Hannibal to be incarcerated. He doesn't want the game with Hannibal to stop.
Hmm. He wants essentially stasis. He wants the game
Yeah.
to stay at um this stage of play
Yeah.
forever.
Oh, and oh
Um,
my God, and he can't. I mean, it's not possible. It's he says it himself as well. He knows because he says it himself. He says to Hannibal at the end of Tome-Wan, "This is unsustainable."
this is yeah, absolutely.
And he is right. The
Yeah.
reason it's unsustainable is because these two sort of quantum elements, as we described them in the last episode, which the universe is suspended between, are too close to one another, right? They cannot interact that closely because it becomes cataclysmic. They become the the atoms in the hydrogen bomb or at the beginning of the
Well,
universe.
on a more sort of direct level, that there's Hannibal and Will on either side, and both are trying to collapse the waveform their way, aren't they? They're both
Yes.
trying to open the box and make the cat be in the state that they want it to be in,
Hmm.
and Will literally can't keep things the way they are
Right.
because there are forces outside of himself
Yeah.
that are trying to change it.
It's very interesting. I mean, he is increasingly cast as a sort of subtextually divine figure in this series as one of the principal authors of this world. And so he has agency. He has more agency, arguably, than anyone because he is in this state of quantum flux where nothing is established and nothing is certain. And yet, he is bound and acted upon by certain forces outside of himself. I mean, one of them is Hannibal, obviously. One of them is Hannibal. Hannibal is trying to mold him and to shape him into a very particular thing. The other is Jack, obviously. Alana wants to be, I think, or has given up on that at this point. I mean, Alana's very interesting in these episodes. Alana's interesting because of what she isn't. She was meant to have a lot more agency, in Mizumono, and these scenes were filmed. The script of Mizumono was actually quite different. Towards the end of Mizumono, she was supposed to be the one that went to the FBI and told them what Jack and Will were doing. She was in a sort of vain effort to save them or to stop things going awry, or to
Right.
stop things spiraling into chaos. But when Brian Fuller and the team sat down to watch those sequences in context with everything else, they realized it didn't work. It just didn't work. It gave her too much agency, and it also made her less sympathetic.
Yeah,
um,
because the audience want to see it go forward, of
of
course.
course, of
Um,
course,
in the final cut, it's she has the scene with Purnell. It's more like
yes,
she's trying to achieve the opposite. It feels more
yes,
like she's pleading for the game to be allowed to
to be
play
allowed to
itself
go
out.
on. Yes, absolutely, and it works so much better, doesn't it? It works so much better. Also, it leaves her much more powerless, which I think suits her thematically. You know, the way she has been treated not only by Hannibal but by the series, right? She
Yes.
is uniquely powerless in this show. She doesn't think she is. She thinks she has some agency, um, but she simply doesn't. She simply doesn't. She doesn't have the imagination. She doesn't have the inspiration necessary to be one of these players at the table. And that has become increasingly apparent. In fact, she's
Yeah,
excluded
I
from it in these episodes, which is really interesting. You do get
well,
those sequences, those really weird scenes around the dining table, which is like it's like the gods in Olympus, isn't it? It always reminds me of the scenes in Clash of the Titans with the gods playing the game with mortals. The one that happens
yes.
in Tome-Wan, where it is just Jack and Hannibal. It's their last supper together, and Will can't be there because he is the subject under discussion. He is in the state of quantum flux between them. It's really weird. It's weird for a lot of reasons. It's weird situationally. We know that everyone knows at that point what the game is, right? Hannibal knows that
Yes.
Jack is tailing him. Jack knows that Hannibal is tailing him, and they both know that Will is the player, the part, the element that's moving up and down between them in flux. And they have this sit down dinner together, which is amiable, which is polite. It's even funny. It's even funny because Hannibal serves, I don't know what the dish is called, but he serves that dish where it's the fish in aspic chasing one another.
The
Um,
Ukrainian dish, which is
yes,
like a clear blancmange with
right.
two fish that are. It's like one fish is chasing the other, but you can't tell which
You
fish
can't
is
tell.
chasing which
Right.
is so ridiculously on the
On
nose
the nose.
for the
It's a joke,
for the
right?
episode.
But
Yeah.
it's also on the nose for Jack, right? It's on the nose for Jack. That is Hannibal saying, "Oh, we know, right? We all know what's going
Yes.
on here." And then Jack says to Hannibal, "At this point, I must admit that I don't know who's pursuing whom." And Hannibal says to him, "Whoever's pursuing whom, I intend to eat them." And they laugh. And it's all very
Yes.
polite. This Jack and this Hannibal are the Olympian gods of the show. It's the authors, isn't it, around the table discussing the competing narratives and their competing editorial decisions and their competing designs. And so they're removed from the horror and the violence, the impending violence that is going to happen. It's really strange. That whole
There's
scene is weird.
there's just the tiniest fig leaf of deniability in the dialogue.
Right.
That's all you get, the tiniest fig leaf. You know,
Yes.
whoever's chasing who, I intend to eat them. You can read that as Hannibal talking about the fish.
Yes.
But
But
that's literally the only the it's the thickness of an onion skin
yeah.
between this being all out in the open and it being hidden.
Yeah.
Is it rests upon wordplay.
In
That's
fact, you
it.
get a lot
It
of that
rests upon
in this
yes.
episode. You do get a lot of that this episode. The queer subtext comes roaring up in this episode at the end of Tome-Wan.
Oh, the
He,
the vision Will has at Hannibal's instigation of
Mhm.
killing Hannibal is so homoerotic
Oh,
when it starts.
it's
It
ridiculous,
looks like
honestly.
lovemaking is
Yeah.
commencing.
Oh,
That's
it's
just how it's
ridiculous.
shot.
And then you
Yeah.
get the conversation at the end where Hannibal compares them actively to Achilles and Patroclus.
Oh yes.
And it's like, well, this is a romance. This is now an overt romance. Not only is it an overt romance, but again, you get the whole reference to mythology. He says that it took divine intervention to bring them down. He has a very definite vision of a world that he wants Will and him to create in the aftermath of this one, when this one is broken down and burnt, in fact. I mean, you get the image of that happening in the next episode, that wonderful sequence where you get the pages fluttering down from the upper balcony and then being fed into the fire. That's not just Hannibal burning his notes, that's him burning this world, right? The world that he has created here, the life that he has created here, so that they can move on into another one.
Yes, and that's a sacrifice to Will. He's saying,
Yes.
I'm prepared to burn this all
I
to the ground for
I
you.
will burn
I will give
this
all this up.
world, this life, everything for you. And yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's too easy and too simple to sort of throw in your lot with Hannibal and make him like the anti-hero of this. He's not. He's evil. I mean, he is Satan. He's Lucifer. He's monstrous. He's violent. He's sadistic. He's cruel. He's controlling. He's domineering. And Will still gets this despite everything that's been happening, despite that overlap between them and the influence. I mean, you do also get in between the romantic stuff you get the antagonistic stuff. So there is also that point where Will says to him, "You are fostering
Fostering code.
codependency,"
Yeah, that's
and
very marked that in the middle of this seduction,
mm,
Will goes out of his way to be quite hostile and
mm,
quite accusatory to
yeah,
Hannibal. And I think part of it, you can like so much of what goes on between them during the course of these episodes,
mhm,
you can read the motivations just reflected endlessly.
Mhm.
How much of this is the old cliche, he knows I know, and I know he knows I
Yes.
know, and he knows
Mhm.
that I know he knows I know, and so that's what's going on here.
It is.
Will is there's a bit I love where they're talking to Bedelia,
Mhm.
and she tells Jack, don't make the mistake of imagining that you're in control of this, and
Yes.
if you think you're on the point of catching him, it's because he wants you to think that, and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. But she also says, in the course of all that, she says something that where she undermines herself, where she says Hannibal can get lost in self congratulation at
Yes.
his own. It's something like his own exquisite taste and his own whimsy,
That's it. His own exquisite taste
which,
and cunning is what she says. Whimsy. That's how
yes,
you'll catch him.
and that kind of is what happens,
Mm.
because Hannibal kind of second guesses himself once too many.
Yeah.
Um, because the fascinating the one of the hinge moments for me is the moment when he smells Freddie Lowndes on
Ah,
Will,
yes.
and then you get that wonderful shot of Will seen from the perspective of the fireplace, so to
Mhm.
speak, and you see Hannibal behind him
Yes.
in long shot. Will is in close up, and Hannibal is in long shot, and Hannibal is looking at Will, and
Mhm.
Hannibal is obviously realized at this
Yeah.
point, consciously anyway, Freddie Lowndes is, it's he's opened the box
Yes.
on this part of it anyway.
Mhm.
This waveform has collapsed. Freddie
Yeah.
Lowndes is alive. Will has been lying to me about that. And he's looking at Will. But there's also something about Dancy's expression there and the way the camera frames him that strongly suggests to me that Will did that deliberately.
Yeah.
He didn't need to go and talk to Freddie.
Right.
It's like he deliberately lets Hannibal know that Freddy is still alive so that
Mhm.
Hannibal can think he's one jump ahead when in
Yes.
fact he isn't. And Will knows that that won't fundamentally, because it doesn't actually fundamentally alter anything. Hannibal
Mm.
doesn't, I don't think if I've read this correctly,
Mhm.
Hannibal doesn't do anything different based on that knowledge.
No,
Um,
I don't think
and Will
so.
knows that he won't. It doesn't fundamentally change anything. So Will is kind of sacrificed a piece to Hannibal
Mhm.
there. It's like he's allowed him to see part of the con that is going
Yeah.
on so that he will continue to believe in the larger con. But at the same time, of course, Hannibal isn't wrong to believe what he believes about Will, because Will is he is what Hannibal thinks he is at the same time as he is what
Yes.
Jack thinks
Oh,
he is.
yes, absolutely. I mean, like, there is no, this is not as simple as Will just conning Hannibal to get him caught.
No,
That really
no,
isn't
no.
it. And the show is kind of genius in that regard. We know that from just little things that Will does and says. He is that killer. And in fact, that feeds into the whole sort of quantum entanglement element of it. I mean, you can read this as he did kill Freddie Lowndes. He did kill Freddie Lowndes. As we discussed in the last episode, Hannibal would have known from the meat, right? Given what we've
Yes.
seen of Hannibal, he would have known that Freddie Lowndes was alive, or this meat wasn't from Freddie Lowndes, that it was from
Well,
someone else.
I don't know. I mean, I think Hannibal's reaction to smelling
Mm.
Freddie's hair on Will indicate that suggests to me that Hannibal at least wasn't sure.
Yes, I think
That's how I read it.
I think what you're getting there is Hannibal realizing that there's a certain version of events that have come out. Like you said, the box has been opened, or at least partially opened, and it's come down this way. And
Yes.
that's owing to Will. That's owing to a decision that Will has made. So, okay, we've opened the box and Freddy isn't dead. That means that the narrative is going down this particular path, and that's the way it's going to be. On the
But
other hand, we do.
Hannibal knows that whatever Will thinks,
Mhm.
Will is in flux.
Yes, yes, and I think
Whatever
that's the
Will has or
yeah,
hasn't done, whatever Will thinks is or isn't happening, Hannibal knows that Will is in flux.
yes,
So it isn't fundamentally a problem that he hasn't
no,
actually killed Freddie
no,
Lowndes.
and we
And
see that
Hannibal, he
again, don't we?
gives Will an
Because
opportunity
yes,
to go with him anyway, doesn't he?
right,
They have a conversation where he essentially says to Will, "Look, let's just go.
Let's just go
And
tonight.
it it,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
that you've been conniving with Jack
Nope.
Crawford to catch me. I don't care
I don't
because they
care.
have it
He
in code.
is.
Hannibal phrases it as if he's talking about Jack forgiving Will, whereas
Yeah.
what Hannibal's actually saying is, "I will forgive you.
I
Just
will
come with
forgive
me
you.
now."
Come with,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very romantic. It's very, because he is, that really is like the most demonstrative, expressive moment that Hannibal ever has, really, where he is basically saying, everything I've built, this grand tapestry, this art that I've been creating, I'll give it all up. I don't need the denouement. I don't need the last pages of my symphony. If I've got you, that's all that matters.
Mm.
That's all that matters. That's all I really want. And then Will makes the decision. He makes the decision by not making the decision, right? He just cannot allow himself to take what he really wants, what he genuinely wants, which we know he does from, certainly from the context of later seasons and later episodes. We know that the feeling is kind of mutual.
I love the way Hannibal kind of goads Will into giving himself away by repeatedly suggesting that they spared Jack's life
Yeah.
as well. And
Yeah.
Will can't agree to, within the framework of what Will thinks he's doing at that point,
Mm.
Will can't agree to that. Although, as you say, both overlaid upon each other. It could be that Will is actually insistent upon Hannibal killing Jack because that's what he wants to happen. But in the
Yes.
other
Yeah.
version, what's happening is that Will needs Hannibal to try to kill Jack because that's the trap that he and Jack
That's the
think they're going to
trap,
close
right?
on Hannibal. So Hannibal deliberately he repeatedly in the course of that conversation he gives Will an opportunity
Hmm.
to essentially grant Jack clemency, to say
Yes.
to Hannibal, okay, don't kill him. And
Hmm.
Will has to sort of duck and weave around each one of those attempts and come up with a way in which he has to say, no, no,
Hmm.
kill Jack Crawl. And it's like Hannibal is trying to make it not true. It's
Yeah.
like Hannibal is trying he's trying to open the box. He's
Yeah.
trying to get Will to be the version of the cat that he wants him to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
And Will is
desperate
ducking and
and
weaving because not necessarily because he doesn't want Hannibal to kill Jack Crawford, but
Mhm.
because he wants to stay in the box.
He wants to stay in the box. That's the whole thing. And we know that. We know that from the things that Will does and the things that Will says. He is constantly up and down and contradicting himself in these episodes. So
Yes.
we have that moment, when at the very beginning of, I think it's Tome-Wan, where Hannibal asks him to close his eyes and imagine what he would like to happen when Hannibal and Mason Verger meet ultimately.
Yes.
And he has that moment where he imagines Hannibal in, strung up above the pig pen, and he slits his
Mm-hmm.
throat and whatnot. And that's really interesting because that happens. Will essentially wills that into being later on in the episode. It happens. He has
Yes.
the opportunity to do it, and then he doesn't do it.
Yes.
He doesn't do it. He contradicts like his own design, his own vision constantly. There are a couple of other sequences where I mean, the phone call in Mitsumono, where he effectively gives Hannibal an out after all of this. After all of this,
Yes.
if you read it completely literally, this grand deception of baiting and switching and manipulating Hannibal to a point where he's going to get caught, he gives him an out. I mean,
Yes, but
it's genius. That moment, that phone call is absolute genius. Because it's the moment
it's great.
where
It
it's
closes
the
the circle.
yeah, it closes the circle. It's the moment where you realize that actually the stuff between Hannibal and Will, it's not as simple as it being deception. There's something genuine there. There's something real. Um, but Will just cannot allow himself the purity of one side or the other.
Well, it's not. it's not enough for Hannibal though. It
No.
not Will not being deceiving Hannibal, Will not being on Jack Crawford's side is not enough.
No.
What Hannibal wants is for Will to climb out of the box on his own and to be Hannibal's version of Will.
That's it.
And the phone call, ironically enough, is kind of the final confirmation to Hannibal that Will can't or won't do that.
Yeah.
Because what that's about, the phone call, is Will once again trying to avoid the moment of climax, the moment
Yes.
of decision, the moment where the box is opened. Because what he wants, as he says to Hannibal later on, he wants Hannibal to go. What
Yeah.
he's trying to achieve with the phone call is Hannibal skips. So Jack Crawford and Hannibal never bump into each other.
Yeah.
The crux moment never comes.
Yeah.
So Will is never called upon to choose. And it's that refusal to choose more than the refusal to choose Hannibal specifically. It's that refusal to choose that Hannibal punishes Will for by staying, by insisting upon writing it this way.
Yeah.
Because he Will's sin in Hannibal's eyes is that desire to avoid the culmination.
Yes,
the decision.
It's the denial of self, isn't it? There is an idealized. Yes. I mean, they talk about this. They talk about this at dinner. There's that conversation where they say where Hannibal brings up the notion of the imago, where he uses that wonderful phrase, which is in the books, I believe, where he talks about how it's an idea from the dead religion of psychoanalysis. Great phrase, right? Great phrase. They both have an ideal of each other in their own minds. And Will also says at one point when he's talking to Jack, he says, we could learn something from, I think he says something like the lifestyle of Hannibal in moderation or something to that effect. So there is something there. But he doesn't seem to be able to accept himself. He can't accept the ideal of himself that he has as well as Hannibal. I mean, okay, the ideal that Hannibal is trying to force is something that is kind of imposed to a certain degree and is kind of aggressive and violent, and it's something that's going to be written in murder. It's going to be written in brutality because it has to be.
It is a kind of ownership, isn't it? Yes, Hannibal is trying to take ownership of
because
Will.
He is ultimately. I mean, again, you have to be very careful of idealizing Hannibal as the viewer, because he is the devil. He is, like, as the show makes fairly overt. There are loads of characters who describe him as such. He is the devil. He is Milton's Lucifer at this point. It's certainly how Mads Mikkelsen preconceived the character and playing him. And so he is cruel and he's sadistic and he's violent. Nevertheless, he does see something, when there's that constant refrain that I only do what's best for you. I only do what I believe is best for you. He says that to Will too. It's in the aftermath of that accusation when they're in the office, and Will says to him, he levels the accusations at Hannibal. You don't want anything in my life but you.
Isn't me. In fact, you go out of your way to put things into my life and then take them away in order to make that point.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, to forcibly and sadistically make that point. Yeah.
And that prefigures the great crux point of Mizumono, which is the reappearance of Abigail, because it is what Hannibal does to Abigail and does to Will through Abigail that is his ultimate moment of evil. That is the unforgivable transgression on the part of, there's plenty of transgressions to be going on with, but at that point, even within Hannibal's own system of thinking, his own professed way of thinking, what he does to Abigail and does to Will via Abigail is absolutely irredeemable. It's unforgivable.
It becomes the driving force of odd attraction between him and Will in the next season. That's why Will's chasing him. It's because of the murder of Abigail. The second murder of Abigail, by the way.
It does, yes, absolutely, because everybody in this show dies repeatedly.
Third murder of Abigail. She was murdered by her father. She was murdered ostensibly by, what Will believed to be himself, but actually turned out to be Hannibal. And now he's murdered by Hannibal. She's murdered by Hannibal again.
Yes. but it does force Will out of the box, at
Yeah.
least temporarily, because he cannot withhold his love for Abigail, his empathy for Abigail, his
Hmm.
desire to protect her.
Yeah.
So which is already, he's already sort of been squeezed out partially by finding Alana outside on the ground, which triggers that version of him,
Yeah.
and it is ultimately empathy as well.
Mm.
Um, the same thing I mean, that's the whole thing that causes him to be in this situation,
Yeah.
is that so-called empathy disorder. But with Abigail, it's more than that. It's an actual personal connection, because the empathy disorder is sort of impersonal. It's like, because he can feel it with everybody and for everybody,
Yeah.
it's not
It's
personal
a
with
it's a
anybody.
phenomena more than anything, isn't it? It's not really like a point of connection with
Yeah, that's
people
that's the
as
great
such.
irony of Will's condition, because he has this ability to feel empathy for everybody. So in a way, he feels empathy for
For
nobody,
nobody,
because
yeah.
it's
It's just the state of being for him, isn't it? It's the
yes,
standard way
yes.
of things.
But with Abigail, it's more than that.
Yeah. In the same
And
way it
you,
is with Hannibal.
yes, well, I mean,
It's
Hannibal
more, you know.
Hannibal feels it's because he loves Abigail to the extent that he can love people, that he does what he does.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't feel that, it would be a meaningless thing to
It'd
do.
be
It's
totally
the flip
meaningless,
side.
right?
It's the flip side of wanting to let Alana live, because
Hmm.
the moment in where Alana turns up and he says to her, just continue to be blind and
Hmm.
don't be brave and go away, and I'll let you live, and
Hmm.
I won't come calling. And what he's fundamentally saying is, you're irrelevant, you
Yeah.
don't matter to me,
You
you're not a player,
actually,
you're not a
yeah,
factor in this.
you're not part of the
um
narrative and you shouldn't be. In fact, he says it,
yeah,
doesn't he? He says to her,
yes,
I hoped we wouldn't have to say goodbye.
yes,
Something to that effect. Yeah, he's not. You can read it as a kind of strange, condescending kindness, but it's not really that, is it? It's him infantilizing her, as he has all the way through. She is so irrelevant to him.
exactly,
She was
yes, he doesn't
useful as a
really,
medium once,
yes,
and that's about it.
that's That's it. Yes.
The
Whereas
only
Abigail,
the
the
only
connection with
intrigue,
Abigail is genuine, which is why it's
yes,
meaningful to. That's why it's meaningful enough for him to do the
yeah.
horrific thing that he
It's
does.
why it's so perverse, isn't it? It's why it's such an
Yes.
act of
Exactly.
grotesque
Exactly.
perversity. I mean, he
Yes.
talks all the way through these episodes about wanting that teacup to gather together again. That's the great hope in Hannibal, isn't it? That's almost like the only point of almost metaphysical delusion that he will allow himself, that maybe one day the smashed teacup will come together. And he gets it. He gets what he wants. The teacup does come together. He gets Abigail back. And he destroys it again.
And it's almost like self punishment. It's almost
Yeah.
like, because he allowed himself to care for Will, and
Yeah.
allowed Will to lead him into this blind alley.
Hmm.
It's like he's punishing himself by taking Abigail away from
Yeah.
himself again,
Absolutely.
re-smashing the teacup,
It
and
has
that's you
a.
know it's a completely narcissistic gesture. Really, it's not really about
Yeah.
Abigail or even Will.
Nope. It's about him, right? It's about him. It's about his
Yeah,
universe. It's about his universe not being correct, and it has that wider resonance as well. Of course, as one of the ostensible authors of this universe, Abigail doesn't have a place anymore. She just doesn't have
no,
a
that's
place
right.
anymore in it, so she's got to be gotten rid of. He may, as he
Because
says
the
to Will, he made the place for her. You know,
yes,
there was a place for her in this whatever new world or new narrative that they would sculpt together. But
yes,
because Will has denied it, there isn't any place anymore. So, on a
but it's
purely functional level, she's got to go.
it's because there's no Hannibal and Will for her to be between.
Right.
It's like we were talking about last time with the quantum entanglement metaphor.
Hmm.
There has to be a medium between the two
Yes.
particles.
Yes.
Abigail was going to be, but of course that schema is dead. It's
Yeah.
dead in the water. So Abigail is just surplus to requirements now.
Yeah. And this whole world now, right? I mean, it's also
Yeah,
symbolic in
the
the
whole
sense
world,
that
yeah,
the
all of them.
destruction of Hannah, of Abigail, and of Will. When he slices Will open, um, it's also the final full stop. It's the dissolution of this world. And again, it's made kind of overt in the nature of the filming. You get the rain hammering down, which, okay, is pathetic fallacy as well. But also, it's the washing away, right? It's Noaric. It's the washing away of this world. When he steps
Mm.
outside and it's washing the blood from his shirt and from his face, and the world is dark and fading into shadow. Um, that world is done. He's walking away from it down the street. And of course, the one of the last things we see is firmament. We see a new sky, a new
A
world being
blue,
born.
cloudy sky. Yes.
Yeah, a new world being born in the aftermath. As you know, as he says that in the blood and darkness. Wow, I mean, it's one of the strongest closing episodes of anything I've ever seen. Mitsumono.
Oh yes, yes. It's great.
It's incredible. I mean, it built, and it's such a clever thing as well because we've seen half of it. The series opened with the fights um, between Jack and Hannibal, which we see
Yes,
again.
that's it's funny watching it today, and then the credits come up, and the little the year comes up, 2014.
Yeah,
It's like 12 years old. My God. But
right.
it is one of the ways in which this series is a little dated. The thing where it
Mm.
begins with the flash forward, because
Yes.
that was very common at the time. Things would
Hmm.
start with something in media res, and then it would sort
Yeah.
of freeze frame, and a voiceover would come in and say, "You're probably wondering how I ended up in this position."
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's not quite that bad, but
Hmm.
it is a very sort of 2014
Yes.
and the years around it
It's
thing to
very
do.
of its era. I can remember shows like
Yes.
Breaking Bad doing it, and Sons of Anarchy, and so on and so forth. I think they all had a season at least where that happened.
Yeah. But this is, I mean, this is the one that holds up best for me
Oh, yeah.
that I'm aware of.
Oh, it really works. I
Um,
mean, first of all, it's got some balls doing it, giving you like the really big confrontation and the big action sequence at the beginning, and then repeating it, knowing that it's so damn good and has so much weight. And there's also so much going on in between the edits that you don't see in the first version of it. That you get
that's
away
right.
with it.
Yes.
It's really bloody clever. Also, I mean,
And
there's a
the
little.
events themselves have been recontextualized by everything you've
Yes.
seen in between.
Of course, of course. I mean, I love the fact that Jack, in that sequence, Jack is kind of desolate. He's been forced to abandon his design, his preconception of the world, because he's now operating outside the law. Not only that, he's as wanted as
Yes.
Hannibal is.
Yes, because CSI Baltimore sort of popped its head back in and tried to claw back control in the form of
Yes.
Agent Purnell,
Agent
and
Purnell, yes.
her response, she's the copyright trademark symbols filed off version of Paul Krendler from the novels,
Yeah, very much.
who they couldn't use. Um, but she tries to reassert the control of something faintly resembling the
Like
real world by coming
kind
in and
of
so,
rational and like it
yes,
operates on rules and laws in the I mean like it's really interesting, isn't it? Because it comes off as absurd. It really does, but in a good
it
way.
does.
She
Yes,
is like she's asserting all these rules as though they're going to have any like significance whatsoever, as though she can contain these characters, Will and Hannibal in particular, as though any of those rules apply to them. It's like
what
what?
she and that the point is proved by her attempt at action,
Mhm,
suspending Jack,
mhm.
sets him free.
Yep.
He is finally set free of the sort of ideology that he's been imprisoned in the entire time, the
Mhm.
ideology of rationalism and law enforcement and all
Yeah,
that sort of thing
law and
that are
order.
becoming increasingly dead letters throughout the entirety of the
Mhm.
show. Um, and he just goes full on vigilante,
He really
biblical
does.
blood and thunder
Yeah.
justice, doesn't he?
He
He's
goes, I
just
mean, he intends to kill Hannibal, doesn't he, at the end? He
yes, he goes there to
intends
murder
to
Hannibal, no doubt.
murder Hannibal. There is no
Yeah,
doubt of that. I like also the fact that he underestimates Hannibal. He sees Hannibal as a serial killer, right? Because that's the parameters that his world operates in. So Hannibal is a serial killer. He is kind of a coward, you know, he strikes from the shadows, he goes after people who are already vulnerable, who don't know what he's going. So he doesn't realize that he can fight.
yeah.
he's a brawler. This guy he's at least as good at like fighting, getting down in the dirt as Jack is.
Yes, and we know that because we've seen it very recently in the
Mm,
previous episode as well. The
yes.
wonderful fight scene where Mason's goons come to Hannibal's offices to try to.
The
Well, they do.
Sardinians, yes.
Yeah, they do succeed in abducting him with the help of a taser, but
A
not before he
taser, yes.
kills. What This is one of my favorite moments in the entire series, actually. Just on the level of it being so funny.
Yeah,
He stabs one of them in the femoral artery, and then the guy pulls. I think it's a letter opener or something,
that's right.
and the
Yeah,
guy pulls it out, and of course this gigantic geyser of
it's
blood just
blood.
instantly. And Hannibal just looks up from the floor and says, "You shouldn't have done that."
Shouldn't have done that. Yeah,
I love
brilliant.
that bit, and
Absolute
then the way
brilliance.
he goads the guy once he's in the
Oh,
pig pen as well.
I mean that again. You get
Did
that
he
loose,
foul
like,
himself? He
yeah.
probably smells worse than you do now.
You just get that Luciferian element coming out, don't you? Where he's like, he just goads, doesn't he? He doesn't care about consequence at all. He is in the same way Mason doesn't, right? He is blithely unconcerned about consequence. And I mean, Hannibal's different from Mason in the sense that he does preconceive of his own mortality. He just doesn't care. He doesn't care if I can't remember the guy's name, but if the Sardinian slits his throat at that point. He just doesn't care. In fact, he would regard that as a victory, right? Because he's goaded him into doing something.
It's
Um,
just another experience from
yeah,
his point of view.
yeah, he doesn't
Yeah.
give a shit. Doesn't give a shit. Um,
Another
whereas,
of my
mate,
favorite moments, incidentally, is later on when they're at Will's house and
mm,
Hannibal says, after he fed me to the pigs, he was going to feed you
yeah,
to the pigs. And he turns to Mason and he says, "Weren't you?" And Mason goes, "Yeah, I
I was.
was."
Yeah, and he really theatrically, right? He kind of spreads his arms. I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
That version of Mason, the version of Mason that's had all the drugs pumped into him and he's cut his own face off, is much more amiable and likable than
Yeah.
any of the versions that have gone before. I've got to say,
Yes. True.
I love that sequence,
Maybe
by the way, with the
maybe
psychedelics.
maybe if Mason had gone to college and tried some.
Uh,
Well, I mean, Hannibal actually refers to the therapeutic benefits of
yeah,
hallucinogens and what's the proper word?
psychedelics.
Psychoactive, yeah,
Yeah,
psychedelics in that scene where he's dosing him up non-consensually.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a possibility. You get a slight glimpse there of
mhm,
somebody kind of a bit more relaxed and a bit
yeah.
more fun.
Kind of like opened his mind a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if the people who visualized and designed that sequence have taken psychedelics, but I think they might have because it's very like the experience of taking psychedelics.
Yeah.
It's very like
This
the experience.
Mason sees Hannibal with a boar's head,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. There's a I looked this up. There is a deity in Hinduism
Ah.
called Varaha,
Uh-huh.
which is one of the avatars of Vishnu, and he's usually depicted as a humanoid figure with a boar's head, and he's a heroic figure. He rescues the Earth, or the Earth goddess is kidnapped by an evil deity,
Uh-huh.
and this character Varaha, he rescues the Earth and he carries the Earth to safety, balanced on his tusks,
Oh, interesting.
which is it's very interesting that I mean, obviously there's the pigs association,
Hmm.
but Mason sees Hannibal manifesting a benevolent entity that saves the world.
Yeah, that's very interesting, especially given that we've already had references to Hinduism in the previous episodes with the Shiva
Mm.
imagery. That's
Yes, yes, indeed.
very interesting. I like that. I do like that. And again, I mean, you get in that moment, Hannibal says something along the lines of Mason's experience is no longer correlative to reality, so reality has to adapt. It's like,
Which is the exact
whoa,
opposite of the dogma that Purnell tries to give
yes.
Alana
Oh, yes, when she
later on.
says
Which,
that she says reality doesn't matter. She says something along the lines of reality doesn't change just because you stop believing in it. It's stubborn like that. And it's like, well, actually, in this show, no, that's not
no,
true. We know that's
you
not true.
you don't know what show you're in, Agent
Yeah.
Purnell.
You
You think you're in CSI
really,
Baltimore.
yeah, you think you're in, you're in the world of concrete, right? You're in a
Yes.
slightly more Manhunter universe where everything is concrete and everything is that is static and operates on rules. Um, this doesn't. This just doesn't in any way, shape, or form, as Hannibal demonstrates. And like in the
Yeah.
next season, I mean, my God, I mean, it just won't even pretend anymore. It doesn't bother. I mean, I've been as I do, I've been continuing into the third season, and it literally becomes like this hyper theatrical fairy tale. It's really fascinating. And
I'm really looking forward to
it's
re-experiencing season 3. It's
it's
been a long time, but I
crazy.
remember it being my favorite
It's
season.
my favorite. It's my favorite season. It just goes off the rails. It's crazy. All of the stuff that's implied in these seasons, where like the metaphysics is always subtextual. No matter how close to the surface it comes, it's subtextual. It's not in season three. It's just there, and
Just
it's like,
becomes text.
yeah, it just becomes text, and it's like, right, okay, brilliant, fine, and it has the effect of recontextualizing these episodes and everything that's gone before it, which I really, really like. I really like. But my
Mm.
God, I mean, these two episodes, they are intense, they're extreme, they're the most graphically violent. But they're also the most extreme in terms of the relationships that occur. I mean, like the relationship between Will and Mason is really interesting. Where they are confabulating and yet they're not. They're both planning to betray one another. They both have a mutual detestation. Um, it's quite incredible, the
Yes.
layers and levels that are happening within this show. It's madness. I mean, it would be so difficult to write and to keep it on track.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, yeah. The writing is a feat. I have to say, the
I
cogency with which it unfolds,
honestly,
and
it's intimidatingly good. It's
it
intimidatingly
is
good.
terribly good.
And
Yes.
especially the way it gets away with things that no other show would as well. Some of the dialogue is so arch, isn't it? And so poetic, but it gets away with it because of the way it frames itself. What is it that Will says to Hannibal at the beginning of Mizumono? He says, your veneer of composure gives a strong sense of the surreal. It's like,
Yes, that's right.
wow. All right. Wow.
Yeah. You
And of
know,
course,
like
I
you
mean,
do. That's the sort
yeah,
of thing you say.
yeah. And Hannibal says to him, "We are standing on the event horizon of chaos." So again, he's sort of exclaiming their metaphysical positions or their quantum positions. It's like,
Yes.
fuck,
You need
all
to have
right.
a lot of confidence in your actors to write them
Yeah.
lines of dialogue like that.
Speaking of,
Um,
by the way, I
yes.
mean, Mads is just insane in these episodes, isn't he? I mean, heartbreaking at times.
Yes, the
You know,
delivery of the line, I let you see me, I let you know me.
oh,
It's
know me,
even
so
at,
see me.
yeah,
Oh,
that moment of supreme evil, well,
yeah,
just before the moment of supreme evil.
yeah,
And yet it's heartbreaking.
yeah,
The
it
performance
really
is amazing
is.
because it's so, the performance is so controlled and so
Yeah,
minimal, that when he lets it out
yeah,
like that, it's incredibly powerful.
it really
Um,
is. I mean, in these episodes, you get the two characters, the only two characters that can rattle Hannibal, of course. Mason does it in a different way, constantly. Um, and Will does it. Will does
yes.
it, in an entirely different way. I mean, the sadness in Mad's performance in the final episode is so profound. It's so powerful.
Also,
But
the just the sort of the savage physicality of it, the way he hurls himself against the pantry door is terrifying.
yeah,
He becomes just he's like a wild animal at that
yeah,
point.
it's the dichotomy of the character rendered, isn't it? The
Yeah.
violence, the baseness, the atavism of him, and then the capacity for the most incredible heightened love and adoration, all mingled together. All mingled together. Even when he's cut Will open, he's trying to soothe him.
Yes. He's
Put your
embracing
head,
him.
yeah, put your head back and wander into the quiet of the stream.
Yes.
And he
Because
touches the way he touches him. The way he touches him, he takes his face in his hand. It's like, oh, wow, wow.
Yeah,
It's
it's
an
very
amazing
powerful.
intimacy. It's an amazing intimacy they've got going on. And of course, I mean, they won't. The creators won't even know this at this point, but it does echo their final scene, like in the whole series. They will
Of
repeat
course.
this.
Yes.
They will repeat this
Yes.
much more earnestly, though. Much more earnestly when we come to it, because Will have learned better by that point.
Well, this time round, it's kind of in defeat, isn't it?
Yeah,
They're Hannibal's attempt to build a world
yeah,
with Will, a new life. Literally, I mean, they
hmm
use the phrase "new life,"
yeah,
"la vita nuova."
yeah,
Um, it's failed here.
yeah.
This is failure mode of
hmm
this ultimate intimacy. Really, when it replays itself at the end of series three, it's triumphal.
It's
It's in success mode,
exultant,
isn't it? Even though it
totally
is,
exultant.
yeah,
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is goodbye. And
yes,
it's not just goodbye for Will and Hannibal, it's goodbye for the show as well, because they did not know they were going to get a season 3. There was
no,
no guarantee at this point. So this could have been the end. This could have been the end. And you know what? That would have been okay.
it would have been okay. Yeah, well, I'm
That would
glad
have
we
been
got
fine.
series three.
I am very happy we did get series 3, because I really do love series 3. And I do love the way the show ultimately ends. It's why I always deny, there's always call for, oh, there should be a series 4. And I'm like, no, no, there shouldn't. I don't know how they could do it at this point. I don't know what there is to tell. The only thing I could think of is if they do Silence of the Lambs, right? If they do that story.
That would be chronologically, that would be the next thing to do. Although the
Mm.
chronology is already
Is all over,
completely,
yeah, it's already all over
yeah,
the place, isn't it? Because, like, I mean,
yeah,
the thing that happens to Mason Verger, I mean, his vengeance scheme isn't until 19 years after his mutilation.
yes.
So yeah, it's already all over the place. Um, but it does tie that up as well, doesn't it? It gives you a kind of tacit goodbye for Mason Verger, when you get Margot saying to him, he says to Margot, "And what is it time to talk about what Margot wants?" And she says, "To take care of you, Mason dear, the way you took care of me."
Hmm.
Interesting. I mean, that's the other thing that happens in these episodes. Everyone dies. Every character now, almost every major character has had their symbolic death, and most of them quite quite profoundly and overtly die at the
Yes.
ends of. I mean, in realistic terms, and even in narrative terms, Jack ain't surviving. The amount of
Well,
blood that
exactly.
he's
Yeah.
lost, no way.
Well, I mean,
Will isn't surviving. I mean, bloody hell, Alana,
Hannibal Hannibal kills Mason on screen,
yeah,
and then a couple of scenes later,
yeah,
Mason's alive again.
Mason's alive again, right? It's so interesting. And it kind of underscores that when you come back in series 3, it's a different world. It's almost like
Yes.
it's not quite the same world anymore. And the series really kind of goes to town trying to tell you that, this
I
is not
remember
quite where we are anymore.
I remember writing on my blog at the time when series 3 premiered. I remember
Mhm.
writing this is a series that was literally shattered
Right.
into pieces
Yep.
trying to reassemble itself in some
That,
way, but
that's
it's
exactly
reassembling
it.
itself into a new shape.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly what Series 3 does, because there are like fragments of this world that still occur within it, and they're really strange. So you get a lot of flashbacks to Abel Gideon and Hannibal in the dining room together, um,
Yes.
which is really strange, but actually thematically makes a lot of sense in context. Um, yeah, it's the breaking of the world at this point, but done in such an understated manner.
Is it new and previously unseen Mason material that you get in series 3? It is, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah, I really
Yes.
think it
Yeah, I
is.
remember that
Yeah.
now. Yes.
Um,
Ah,
but wow, yeah, and I love the fact that it doesn't tie itself up very neatly, so you don't see them die. You just know that they're dead.
Yes.
because there
I mean,
can't be
nobody's
any
surviving any of those things.
nobody surviving this, right? Apart from Hannibal, obviously.
Yes.
Hannibal survives, and Bedelia, it seems.
Yes.
Bedelia also survives.
Bedelia's last minute reappear. I remember watching that at the time. Her
Hmm.
last minute reappearance on the plane is
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. And
quite something.
what's really interesting is when you get the final shot of the series, which is Hannibal's face as he leans back, you can tell that he's kind of defeated at that point. It's that whole project is over. And maybe, yeah, maybe that he's heading towards another one, but it's not going to work without Will, is it?
Well, to be crude, Bedelia was definitely the backup plan, wasn't she?
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of it. Yes, that's kind of it. He has it's really interesting. He says to Will when he's ostensibly dying, do you think you could have changed me like I've changed you? And Will says, I already have.
I already
And
have.
it's true. He
Yes.
has. He's made
Yes.
Hannibal aware that he's capable of love and that he kind of needs someone.
Well, it's also continuing the quantum theory
Mhm.
theme because it comes hard upon Hannibal saying to Will, "I let you see me." Now that
Yeah.
means that Will has observed Hannibal. He's seen him,
Yes.
and that's the uncertainty principle. To observe something
Yes.
is to alter it.
Uh-huh. Yes, that's it. That's it. And by seeing Hannibal, he has changed him. He's
Mhm.
altered him and but also made him absolute. He's made him real, right? He's brought the devil out of the shadows. And that it's so cool. It's so Bedelia's very interesting, by the way, in the next season. She's
Yes.
very interesting. She's kind of comfortable with the fact that she's a backup. She's okay with it. She knows. She's aware. In fact, she does bait Hannibal a couple of times with his obvious obsession with Will and the fact that he's
She's a
so
little
not
bit
over him.
she's a little bit jealous
Yeah, of
of
course she
Will
is.
Graham.
Of course she is. She wants to
Um
be Will. It's really interesting. In the same way that Will kind of wants to be Alana when she's with Hannibal, it's the
yes.
same thing. And he's also, I mean, like Will is horrible to Bedelia in the next season, by the way. I mean, he is
Yes, despite
so hostile
that's
towards her.
that surprised me actually watching this,
Hmm.
because I remember distinctly the animosity between Will and Bedelia in season three,
Yes.
and then to see them being quite cordial with each other
Cordial.
in the
Yeah,
interview room in season two was a
yeah,
surprise
yeah,
to
because
see this again.
he's kind of grateful to her in this one, isn't he? Because she's the only one who believed him when he was in
Mm,
the dunking tank.
mm,
But of course, the context has changed in season three. She's done something. She's been with Hannibal behind. I think they use this phrase "behind the curtain." She's operated with him domestically in that fantasy world, in the world that was meant to be for Will, and that's why he
yes,
doesn't like her. That's why he
he
doesn't
sees
like her.
himself reflected in her.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
also he's jealous. You know, on a purely base level, he's jealous. And
yeah.
she's kind of jealous of him as well because no matter how intimate she is with Hannibal, she'll never have what him and Will have. And she kind of knows it.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
It's again, we'll hurtle into it, I'm sure.
I think
Um,
so. I think we'll keep going now. Yes.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, oh my God, these episodes are. I've watched them quite a lot over the last couple of weeks, actually, just to really get the measure and complexity of them. And there's so much happening. I don't think we've even scratched the surface.
I get a feeling with these two, they're propulsive. You sort of race through them.
Yeah.
There is a feeling, I think, that they are they don't quite work in isolation from the episodes leading up to them. There's
Yes.
definitely a feeling of culmination about them.
Hmm.
For instance, I mean, the most specific example is the conversation at the end
Hmm.
where Hannibal refers to the teacup. In itself, that doesn't make sense except in reference to the discussion, which I think is in the episode previous to these two.
Yes.
So there's very, I mean, it's not even a criticism. I'm just
Hmm.
saying that just structurally, these
Yeah.
episodes need to be drawing threads together. So in themselves, they do kind of look like the ends of threads,
Oh, definitely,
rather
yeah.
than the extent of the thread. So that there's a degree to which you can't quite talk about them in isolation, which
No,
makes them feel less whole than other
absolutely.
episodes.
It's the last sort of 4 episodes, isn't it? Really,
Yeah, or even the last
yeah,
5 or 6, really.
yeah, definitely. Thematically alone, you can't. It's very difficult to talk about these episodes in isolation, simply because they are exactly that. They're the culmination of, rather than being entire in and of themselves, which actually I don't think was the case in series one. I think the final episodes were almost like a two-part finale, weren't they? And were
Yeah,
much more
yeah.
sort of complete in and of themselves. But I think these episodes are infinitely more complex and confident, and they just go to places. They go to places with the visuals, with the dialogue, with the ideas that are floating around, the characters that I don't think they could have even dreamed of in season one. I
No,
just
this
don't
is
think.
we're watching the culmination of a
Yeah,
process of development.
definitely,
Um,
definitely, and that just continues from this point on. I mean, don't get me wrong. Season three kind of it's an odd reset, and it resets again as well, because of course season three is technically 2 seasons. It's technically 2 seasons bolted together. You get the
they're
stuff.
kind of all a bit like that, aren't
Yeah.
they? Because the that happens in all 3 seasons are
Mhm.
roughly divisible into two.
Into two
For instance,
pieces,
in
yes.
season two is divided into the first half, which is the
Mhm.
Will in prison plot,
Yes.
and then the second
And
half, which
then,
is the Will
yes.
out of prison and here are the verges. So,
Yes,
but
of
in
course.
season three, it's even more
It's a verge, yeah.
stark.
Well,
Obviously,
basically,
yes,
season three, the first half is Hannibal, and the second half is Red Dragon.
yes,
It's basically that. It's not that simple,
essentially.
obviously, but that's essentially it. I mean, one of the things we're going to have to look at. I didn't even know. I didn't realize when I watched it for the first time. But of course, we get a kind of reborn Mason version with a different actor.
Different actor, yes.
I had no idea. It just, the
Yeah.
makeup and everything. It didn't even register. Um, but again, that's something this show can kind of get away with in a way a lot of other shows can't, because of the whole metaphysics of it, you know?
Yes.
It's like, yeah, okay, it's a character reborn. They're all reborn and resurrected at this point. Fine. And again, I didn't
Well,
notice.
looking forward to getting into the next season.
Me too. You know what I might do? I might actually go and reread Hannibal for the first time in many, 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 many
I
years.
have a soft spot for that book, but
I do
yeah,
too.
it's
I mean, I like the film better, actually. I do. I think the film version of Hannibal, which is much, it really is excoriated, like critically. I kind of like it. I kind of
it's
like it.
my favorite movie based
Yeah,
on any of these stories.
definitely. I think it
Um,
does stuff that the book probably should have done, but didn't. It takes out all the problematic stuff, um, and I think it's kind of fun. I think it's. I mean, I love Gary Oldman as Mason Verger. He's hilarious. He's just
he is
having
good.
fun.
Yes,
He's just having fun
yes,
with it. Again, he's kind of, and playing against Ray Liotta as Krendler is a lot of fun, because they're both
yeah.
ridiculous characters. They're really like two of the basest, most execrable characters you could ever come across, playing off of one another. It's great. It's enormous fun.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think I might go and watch the film, because I haven't seen that for a long time either.
No,
And I have
I haven't seen the film in a long time,
long,
but
long
it's
time, and I have very, very positive associations with it, because like it was a film that I saw. It came out when I was 18, and it was one of the first 18 certificate films that I got to see at the cinema.
it's one of the first movies I ever saw on DVD because
Oh
my
wow!
local video rental place had started to stock DVDs, and I had
Oh,
just acquired a PC with a
uh-huh,
disk drive, so I hired rented the DVD,
uh-huh.
And it was, I'm sure it wasn't the first film I watched on DVD, but it was one of the first.
Yeah. So it's got very strong, powerful association.
Mm.
It also made me want to go to Florence, which I did, when I was in my
Yeah.
20s. I mean,
And the
my
musical
God,
score is fantastic.
which is you get a
Wonderful
bit
musical
of
score.
in Hannibal in the
You
series.
do. Yes.
Vide
Yes.
Con Meum, of course, Vide Con Meum,
Yes.
which is, oh God, it's so beautiful. It's stunning, that opera. It's so, so pretty. But yeah, oh my God. In fact, we're going to be going, this series is going to be going to Italy in the next season. It's going to be actually uprooting the entire show and taking us to
Yes.
another realm, an entirely other realm. Oh, I can't wait, actually. Cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun. And because you haven't seen it for a while, right?
I don't think I've seen it since it was originally on.
Oh, so it's going to be very, very interesting. So
Mm.
almost Virgin Eyes, yeah.
Almost. It was close to. Yes, I have
Yeah,
very vivid memories of it. But
yeah. I'm not surprised because
yes,
it is like it's bigger in every way, you know, the including like the gore and the death scenes and whatnot. It's very, very, very overt. Wow, yeah. Jeez, I feel breathless. I feel kind of like, whew, after doing this season, it's intense, isn't it? It's intense.
it is. Certainly is. Yes.
Well, guys, thank you guys for listening along with us, and thank you, Jack. This as always, this has been great.
Yeah.
This has
Absolute
been
pleasure.
always. Before we go, anything you'd like to pimp out there?
Well, everything I do is linked to my Blue Sky, which is at times Carcass, not Carpus, times Carcass, which is a different thing.
Yeah.
I blog at Eruditorium Press under Jack Graham. My main project is the podcast I Don't Speak German, where I talk about the far right, which is increasingly just the mainstream with Daniel
Yeah.
Harper.
I was going to say, right?
Uh, and I've got a Patreon, and you get advance access to what I do there. I make audiobooks. I recently did an audiobook of a gothic horror story by Conan Doyle called The Leather Funnel. That's up at
Oh,
my YouTube as well. But if you give me $1 a month on Patreon, you get advance access to stuff like that. Exclusive podcasts about the original Sherlock Holmes stories. Da 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 da. There you go.
brilliant. Links to all that below, guys. As per usual, you can find me around here on Exaggerated Elegy. Lots going on around here. Lots of Let's Plays at the moment, playing lots of video games. Resident Evil 2, Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, and lots of chats like this going on, actually. There'll be another episode of the Books of Blood going up with Kit Power very, very soon. New Murders in
Oh,
the Rue Morgue, I believe we're doing next. Um, for all of my fiction, my written work, you can find links to it over at strangeplaygrounds.com, all of my short story collections and whatnot. My non-fiction, you can find over at Ginger Nuts of Horror primarily. The ongoing series, My Life in Horror, there's a couple of articles waiting to come out there. One on Pennywise from It, and the other one I will keep under wraps because that's going to be a contentious one. Read it and find out. Read it and find out. And I think that's it for me right now. Oh no, no! If you go over to Arrow Films, you'll find the Hellraiser UHD set, and also the what was the other one I did, Jack? It was
the Mouth of
In the
Madness.
Mouth of Madness. Yes, how could I forget that? My God, it's late, and I've been working a lot. That's my excuse. Yes, John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness UHD
In the
and
mouth.
Blu-ray set. In the Mouth of Madness. Yes.
I get all these M things that are of madness mixed up. I'm sorry. I'm a bad fan.
I forgot it, so and I'm on the bloody DVD, so if you're a bad fan, I mean, my God. But yes, you'll find extras featuring myself and Kit Power on those, and essays and whatnot. And I think that's it for me, Jack. Again, it's. I'm so glad we're doing this again. I'm so glad. It's
Yeah, it's
so
such
much
fun.
fun. It is. It's so brilliant. And next time, guys, we'll be moving on to series 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, the final season. Oh, until then, bye bye.
Right.